What's up, everybody? This is Will here, and today I am in the PU, the online universe, the persistent universe, and I am here to fulfill a request. Now, somebody had... Oh, it looks like someone stole my ship. Did they steal it, or did that just do a screw-up? Oh, you know, it's just flying away. Alright, so and it done went kabiggity boom. Okay, well, that's really no skin off my back. But what I was originally trying to say was that this is a video being done by request. Somebody had asked if I could create a video detailing how to be a good pilot in one of the larger type ships. 1, 2, 3, 14,000. That's not that expensive. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to be a better pilot with a larger ship. So one of the more important pieces of information that I can give about piloting a large ship... it did it again. One of the only pieces of information I can give about piloting a large ship is to know your limitations. Know what you can and cannot do. You know, most of these larger ships are not, you know, fighters.
Our automated system is unable to access that ship at this time.
And I think I might be being trolled.
Try again later. Our automated system is unable to access that ship at this time. We apologize for any inconvenience.
Alright, let's go see what's going on.
Try again later.
This might change gears, but let's see. Is there someone on the port? Like, why does everything keep blowing up every time I put something over here? Oh shit, that was interesting. Okay. So, I'm curious as to why that kept blowing up, but alright. Let's go respawn it, and hopefully it won't be as expensive. I mean, I've got a shit ton of AUEC, so I could literally continually spawn this thing all day. Let's see, what do I got? About, yeah, 641,000, so legitimately wouldn't even put a dent. I could respawn this a bunch more times. And that's what you get for grinding a ridiculous amount in this game. Just to give you some insight how much I play. So, alright, like they say, third time's the charm. So, the original point, actually I shouldn't even get ahead of myself, I should wait till I'm in the cockpit. Why does that keep blowing up? I wonder why. Why is it not staying there? Alright. So, let's see. I feel like somebody is trolling me for some reason. So, like I said, glad I didn't speak too soon. And that's why I've got so much money.
Selection confirmed.
For just such an occasion. So let's wait till I can get back to it. Alright, good, they failed. Okay, yeah. So it looks like somebody is just trying to troll me. So all right. So let's try that again. See, this is what I'm worried about. I'm worried about once Star Citizen goes out to a wider audience that all the trolls are going to start coming in, and it looks like that's what's happening. So now I'm going to make these people feel dumb a little bit. Obviously, I've only got 2 Starfarers, but I want them to know that their, what do you call it, is basically useless. So, sorry, I was kind of lost in thought there. But so yeah, pretty certain, there's already an influx of trolls, and I think what I'm going to do is wait for them to blow up that one, and then I'm just going to respawn it immediately, and then run back over there.
How you doing?
We advise guests, please use caution upon exiting the armistice zone.
So let's be nice and bow. Wow, they didn't blow it up yet. Okay. Knew it! I knew it!
Unfortunately, our automated system is unable to access that ship at this time. We apologize for any.
Come on!
Our automated system is unable to access that ship at this time. We apologize for any inconvenience. Unfortunately, please try again later. Our automated system is unable to access that ship at this time. We apologize for any inconvenience. Please try again later, or select a different ship.
And there we go, that should spawn it.
Selection confirmed. Your ship is currently being delivered to the launch platform.
And again, alright. So, let's go get another one. Yeah, let's go with the other Starfarer.
Unfortunately, our automated system is unable to access that ship at this time. We apologize for any inconvenience. Please try again later.
This is annoying.
To access that ship at this time.
Come on.
We apologize for any inconvenience. Please try again later, or select a different ship.
Any second now. Come on. Load. Load.
Unfortunately, our automated system is
Alright,
unable to access that ship
let's
at
go
this
to
time.
another
We
one.
apologize for any inconvenience. Please try again later, or select a different
That's funny.
ship.
So this was supposed to be a video on how to be a good large ship pilot, but unfortunately, it seems the trolls have already flooded into the game. So this is a good example of what to do when confronted by these trolls. No matter how much it gets you upset, basically just play it off like it's nothing. You know, just laugh, tell them, you know, oh, good thing I've got more, and basically just make it seem like their actions are futile, because it seems like that would be the best course of action. That way they basically get fed up. But obviously, whoever that fucking troll was, wasn't getting fed up. So instead of me basically just wasting the amount of time in the video, I thought, alright, let's just go to a different server, and hopefully that'll load up soon. So some points I want to say about being a larger ship pilot is, like I was saying previously, what you want to do is know your ship's limitations. More often than not, when you've got a larger ship, I mean, it's going to be slow. It is not going to be as maneuverable, especially as a fighter. So, keep that in mind. If you happen to see that there's a fight going on, and if you're in a larger ship and you're trying to lend support, I would definitely say try to stick in the sidelines, and throw volleys in accordingly. So, what I'm hoping to do, which is the whole reason I went to the online universe, is I'm hoping to go to ICC, what else is new, hopefully come across a mission that's already being undertaken, so that way I can kind of give some tips and pointers on how to be a good combat support pilot. Now, because these larger ships aren't good for combat, doesn't mean they cannot be used for combat. You just have to use it a little bit more tactically than just flying into the middle of everything and, well, just getting into the thick of it. Some ships, depending on your shielding and armor, you might have a better survivability to do that, but more often than not, you are going in and you're basically setting yourself up for disaster. Now, another thing about larger ships, which I want to get to first and foremost, is you definitely want to be on the lookout for stowaways. There have been a multitude of times where I basically run right to my ship after spawning it, much like I've just done, and either before or by the time I get to the cockpit, there's already a stowaway on board somewhere, basically waiting for me to leave Armistice space so they can attempt to capitalize. Now, if you happen to think that there is somebody on your ship and they're going to be doing that, what I can tell you is if you are in quantum or if you're driving really fast and they kill you while you are in the pilot seat, they're going to have a hard time gaining control of that ship. So I would say if you notice that there's someone behind you, resist all urges to get up and confront them, because if they do happen to kill you after you've left your seat, well, your seat is now open, and they can easily jump in, take the wheel, drive off, do whatever they want with it. Whereas if you're in the seat and you're in the middle of doing flying, if you're at full throttle and then you get killed, you have, I think it's like a 80% chance of bugging the seat out, so that even if the unwanted stowaway jumps into the seat, he'll have no control. And that'll give you enough time to run back to the ship spawn screens, I can't remember, the terminals there, and be able to respawn your ship and pull your ship back right out from under them. It's like pulling the rug out from someone and making them fall down. Now that seems like that is only a, quote, feature that you'll be able to take advantage of pre 3.0. It seems like in 3.0 they have added the legal and physical ownership mechanic. So if they have it physically and you go to respawn your ship, they'll still have it and you get a copy in essence. As opposed to currently there can only be one version of your ship at a time, and if you were to respawn it while someone else is on it, it despawns from them, respawns at you, and it's funny. In fact, sometimes I try to bait people into stealing my ship just so they can fly away with it, just so I can basically pull it back from them and strand them in space. It's even funnier if they've shot me and I've done the trick that I recently said, because then when they kill themselves, they spawn at Grimhex, and then they have to go to SPK, which is Security Post Korea, and I'll usually meet them there, and I will then return grief them for whatever amount of time I feel necessary. And yeah, it just makes me feel good. I know, I'm petty. I can admit that. So luckily, we've come across the exact scenario I was hoping. Sorry about the mic feedback from my uh, speaking. It's a little bit closer, but it seems like I might be having an issue with one of my mics, so I just want to make sure that everybody can hear me properly. So what we want to do, we can notice that we are still a good over 22 kilometers away from where the action is, and that's in essence kind of a good thing. As you can see, the ship speed with its girth and size is not very fast. I kick on afterburners, and it's about the regular cruise speed of a normal fighter, a little bit above, but we're still not going to get there very fast. So you want to kind of take advantage of the amount of space in between you. Now, unfortunately, these guys were skilled and they killed the enemy. However, once I get within a certain range, 1 to 3 or more may respawn. Depends on where these two are in the process, or depends on their proximity to the area once the spawn trigger is initiated. So what you'd want to do is you want to try to stay back, know the limitations of your ship, know the limitations of your weapons. The combines, which I have on this ship, can reach out about 3,700 meters, so I can really reach out and touch someone. So what I want to do, my tactic is I want to put distance in between me and the targets. Their weapons are not going to be able to reach me, or not reach me with as much force as mine are going to be able to reach them, more often than not. Plus, with the larger ships, you usually get the advantage of having a larger shield, which again is a plus. My voice attack is working,
Finally, some easy.
and it's an Aurora. So with this, now watch. Usually what happens is they will fly directly at you, and that makes it easy to line up shots. Just a couple pulls of the trigger,
Destroyed.
done. Now I would suggest applying that to as many scenarios as you can. With the NPCs, it's a bit easier because they tend to have a habit of once they first spawn, they tend to fly directly at you. With other players, it's a bit more tricky because obviously with people, they're a little bit harder to predict. Not impossible, but harder. I would say you probably want to try to subscribe to a similar idea and or tactic, especially with a ship like this, which really does lack in speed and maneuverability. If you take something like a Constellation, which to me, a Constellation for a larger ship is still kind of on the small side. There's not a whole lot interior-wise that you can really do. Well, what am I saying? There's not a lot that you could do with it in terms of its maneuverability, but it is most certainly better speed and agility wise, the Constellation I mean, compared to the Starfarer. And with the Constellation you can also use the exact same tactics where even though you do have that slight bit more maneuverability, you still have to be careful about distance and your weapons. Now they usually have, I believe, the size M7As, the constellations, at least in terms of the Andromeda. I know the Andromeda has the size 7. I'm sorry, the size 5 M7A. And for the size of weapon that they are, they really don't pack very much of an oomph, which is surprising. To my understanding, the size 5 is the largest current weapon.
Hey,
Oh, there's my voice attack. So I believe that is the largest current weapon in Star Citizen, the size 5s. So you would expect that they would be, no pun intended, absolutely killer. Where I have actually found that the size 4 C788 combines tend to have much more firepower, much more damage output than a size larger laser weapon. Now I know that that does make sense given that it's a ballistic and it ignores the shields, but you would expect that the shields would take a really heavy hit.
Hey, Jenny, would you get head on back and whip us up a cup of something hot? I'm about to pass out. Got a contact. Multiples. Let's see what the ridges say. Not coming up. Forget the drink. I need you on shield now!
So, what I was saying, the size 5 M7As are, in my opinion,
Tessa here.
a letdown.
Appreciate you looking into that scan for me. Between me and you, I had been hoping we might discover a new life form, like a sentient rock or something. But what you found was pretty neat too.
Now, the reason I'm saying that those M7As are a letdown is I was able to slap one of those onto the Vanguard hoplite. The Vanguard has a size 5 mount on the nose in conjunction with the 4 size 2 bearing laser weapons, and they are more or less having identical pips. I think the M5A or M7A size 5 is a bit faster, but not by much. The pips line up actually quite nicely. So while using it, it really didn't do as much as I was hoping, even when firing it together with the 4 nose mounted front facing laser repeaters. So now let's see if we can go and give this gentleman a hand. We're going to try to use the idea and tactics that I had previously mentioned. So given that we have a 3,700 meter range, I like to try to get in around 3,500 to about 1,500. I feel like that's a really good kill range. Being at about 1,500 to 2,000 meters usually gives you enough space where you can see the incoming fire and are able to adjust shields accordingly, versus being too close. So just for ha-has, let's fire a missile. Considering now that is a cutlass, so that cutlass might have a little bit of trouble outmaneuvering this missile. And just for fun, let's go into the missile view, and oh, it is having issues. All right, so let's get out of that. I'm not sure why it's spinning so god-awful wildly. So now that we are basically within killing range, I want to now pull down on the throttle, direct hit, and I want to kind of creep forward. The other thing about the ballistics is, although they do hit fast, they really kind of don't have much in terms of speed. So you really got to line your shots up, and you really do kind of have to guess where they're going to go. And, oh, there we go. The other guy's missiles hit. So let's try to send one off at him. So now, given that the ballistics, the projectiles do have a little bit of a slow velocity, that's the word I was looking for, you do have to be a little bit more careful, especially if they're not just coming directly at you. When I say careful, I mean you kind of have to give in or give a little bit of how would I word this? You want to shoot ahead just a little bit so they kind of go into the rounds, but you want to make sure that you're not doing it too far, too little, and that is exactly what I'm doing, too far, too little. So let's throw another missile at him. Hopefully maybe get his attention and have him come towards us, or at least get to a position where we can get a straight beat on him and really ruin this pirate's day, as he seems like he's really griefing this player. And when I first started, I can tell you the Ninetales Aurora and the Ninetales 350R griefed me quite a lot. So I can understand very much so. I always try to wipe out these pirates. So the thing that is difficult, like I was saying earlier, is trying to line up these shots, especially at a distance when they're not coming directly at you. That's when you're going to have a little bit more time actually landing the shots. So with the support role, a lot of it really is going to be following the target more so than firing at it, depending on the type of weapons. Given that I've got the ballistics, I do kind of have to pick my shots a little bit better. And it sounds like... Yep, alright, right shields! Alright, so... let's try to ruin this Gladius's day. Front shields!
Reinforcing shield.
Oh! And, I think somebody just... yeah, someone collided with me. Well... and as you can see, I actually survived that. That's another good thing about the MISC, is their crash safety rating is pretty high. And I am being thrown quite far. So that was actually a that was a bad example. I was thrown pretty far there. That was a pretty bad example. Now, if only that person did not collide with me, I want to say this probably would have went a little bit differently. So I'm not quite sure if this video was a success. My character is probably hurt. I'm not even aiming straight. So I think I'm going to end my life. Float out in the ether. Well, that kind of blew up in my face. Ba-dum. Yeah, that was a bad joke. So another thing that you want to take into account when you're doing the when you're piloting the larger ships are your turrets and whether or not you're going to take crew with you. If you're in a ship like the Caterpillar and you go out solo, you're basically going to be a bigger target or a less effective target. Let me put it that way because it doesn't have anything to do with size. But on the other hand, if you go out in your Caterpillar, let's bring the pirate one. You go out in your Caterpillar and you have one or two crew members. Well, then once you do get to an area where there's going to be NPCs, that's going to increase the number of NPCs. So it's really this delicate balance of needs, firepower, and abilities with a little bit of skill mixed in on top. And what I mean by that is even if you are an ace pilot and you've got two crew members and you get swarmed, you could try to do all the maneuvers that you want, evasive or offensive, but if you're moving really slow and you've got a large cross section and you're very visible, you're going to be absorbing more shots than you're dodging, while also impeding your turret gunner's accuracy. So it really is this give and take, and I can't stress enough that you really want to analyze each situation. Sometimes it is a great tactical move to just retreat. There's nothing wrong with retreating. Like they say, run and fight, run and leave the battle, you get to fight another day or something. I don't know the rhyme offhand. I really don't remember it. But retreating is a viable tactic, especially if you analyze and realize that you are outmatched, outgunned, or you don't have the necessary firepower needed. And I can definitely say that with the Caterpillar, it is very lacking in the armaments section. Now, granted, it does have two turrets with dual size 4 weapons, but they're laser weapons. And then once again, you man both of those turrets and you go to do an ICC mission, well now there's going to be at least 3 pirates who spawn. And you got to think, you're going to have, they're going to be swarming you. They're going to be coming from all directions. It's not just going to be one area. Unlike where it's just you and you have just one target, then you can at least try to keep a better eye on who's doing what. And I'm going to give an example of just how much of a death wish it is going in with just the Caterpillar. It's bad. I'm just going to say that. I have a feeling that the Caterpillar is not going to fare very well.
It's coming from these coordinates.
So another important thing to remember are the hotkeys for manipulating your shields. Now, some of the screens, the MFDs, it appears as though they don't function. And the screens themselves, the GUI, the GUI, don't. So like with this one right here, if I were to try to manipulate this bubble, it's going to give power to the weapons, shields, or thrusters, but it's not going to show on the screen itself. Whereas if you look up here, now if I do front shields, I don't know why my AI isn't hearing me. Front shield.
Fortifying requested shield.
There we go. So now if you look, I have a little bit less on the sides, but a little bit stronger here. Now if I go equalize shields, it's because I'm holding a button. Equalize shields. Shields equalize. Why isn't this working? It was working the other day. Equalize shields.
Shields equalized.
There we go. So now if you look, now it's got them back where they're supposed to be. Now for the hotkeys, if you hold number pad 8, you should see, I think it's because I'm holding that. So if I hold 8, it's going to say system damage, but it's because it took shielding from the sides and put it onto the front. Now, you see the rear one? How that's different? Now, if I do the opposite and I hold number pad 2...
System damaged. Shield system online.
Now, my rear shield is large again. And then the port side, or left, for your landlubbers, is going to be number pad 4. And now, look, see, my front and rear are less, but my right shield, comparatively to my right shield or starboard, is different. And then if you press number pad 5,
shield system online.
That will re-equalize them to the levels that they're supposed to be. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start wrapping up the video just to show you that manipulating your shields is a very valid, very good tactic, and good what would you say, protocol to have. I only recently found out about the keypad bindings. I was actually using the voice attack to manipulate the shields accordingly, as it was a lot better and faster. I think because I'm recording, for some reason it is inhibiting the voice recognition, which is really strange, because usually Alex is really good at hearing what I'm asking and what I'm telling her to do. So what I'm going to do is take in the super afterburner. She didn't hear it. Super afterburners. Super thrusters.
Executing now.
There we go. So, excuse me. Now that I got those kicked on, there we go.
Mayday, we are under attack. Please help.
And now I'm going to show you just how bad it is. Now I'm not going to touch my shielding. Oh god, it's Gladius. Yeah, this is gonna be a bad day. So watch, when we don't adjust our shielding, we are basically going to be in for a bad time. We might make it out, but I can't help but feel we're not going to make it out very well. So what I'm going to do is try to kill this Gladius without manipulating my shields, and it's just to kind of show you that without it, you're almost a sitting duck. Having the ability to manipulate your shields is a great feature. I wish the graphic user interface worked a little bit better. But if you're unable to do it via the MFDs, there is the keypad shortcuts which I've just detailed for you. You can also get voice attack and get a voice pack, I believe they're called, for Star Citizen specifically, which has a lot of the key bindings and a lot of the more advanced settings already pre-programmed, where all you need to do is either figure out what the defaults are or go back and edit the defaults to your liking, or if you want to put in custom commands. For instance, I have one where I say make it so, and it'll basically initiate the jump to one of the quantum drive locations. So I believe he's going to start shooting missiles at me. Oh, and yeah, so if you look on my screen health, or my ship health screen, I'm in bad shape, and I think I've lost him. Oh, there he is. I've already got one red section, and as you've seen, I've landed many shots on him. But given that they're just size 1 M3As, it doesn't do much in terms of damage output. Whereas his Gatling and I think he's got Badgers, but it looks like he's, I'm sorry, Bulldogs. You know, that Gatling is ballistic, so it's basically ignoring my shield and just doing straight hull damage. I'm not expecting to stay alive for much longer. In this instance, again, you know, having a crew member would help me with, you know, when I have him in sight. But like right now, if I had a top gunner, he would be at a disadvantage, as we would be moving around. I'm trying to keep him in sight, and that's just going to make his job a little bit harder. So in some instances, having a tertiary or secondary gunner will be helpful, and in some situations, it could have little to no effect. If you're going to go up against NPCs, you might have a slightly better chance with a turret gunner. If you're going up against actual players in the current state that turrets are, I think that's going to be not much of a help. It may help you if you have an ace turret gunner, but again, given that you're on something that is constantly moving and you really can't zero in, you know, it can be a disadvantage. And surprisingly, I actually won that battle. But as you can see, I've got a large red portion, and I am probably pretty tore up. Let's see if I can get into the light. And it looks like what is in dire shape is this section where the
With that ship in trouble,
tractor beam is. So far,
space is dangerous.
aesthetically at
It's good to
least,
know
it looks
that
like
there are
it's
people like
okay.
you out there too.
So I think I'm going to end the video here. Basically, to be a good larger ship pilot, you really want to take into account the limitations of your ship, the limitations of, you know, your abilities, the limitations of your crew, if you have any. You want to also really take into account the type of weapons that you have, and by that I mean on your ship. You know, if they're ballistics, then you kind of have to stop and line up your target a bit more. If you've got repeaters, then you can kind of shoot a little bit more wildly, with still having the chance of making contact and having those land. You also want to take into account your top speed, your maneuvering speed. Okay, and the video stopped again out of nowhere. So I'm going to try to make this quick. So if you stick to the tips that I gave you, you may have a little bit better time out there. There's no guarantee, as you saw with the Starfarer. You know, if someone collides into you, you could have the best plans, and that would mean nothing if somebody aloha snack barred into you. Well, I'm going to end the video here now. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, leave a thumbs up at the bottom, like the video, leave a comment. If you want to see something else, you want to see something, let me know. I'm more than happy to fulfill requests. This one was a request. I hope that I gave you some information that you can use and work with. And yeah, hopefully I will see you all again very, very soon. So this is Will. This is also the Drake Caterpillar Pirate Edition. And I will see all you lovely, beautiful bastards next time. So, have a good night. Peace.